Rise, sailors, rise.
Yeah.
Suzanne, that's our prosperity.
Yeah, that's your prosperity, yeah. I like that. It's so interesting, you know, the general theme of the Centers for Spiritual Living this whole year has been grand rising. Rise, rise. So thank you. Perfect song, Alan, of course. And Marshall and Dave. Let's give them another round. So the theme in this month of the Centers for Spiritual Living is power to the people. And I've been talking a lot the last couple weeks about the power, different ways of power. Because a grand rising with power begins within us. And we do our inner work, hopefully, to create relationship with our inner power that supports us. And the Centers for Spiritual Living, of who we're a part of, the larger organization, has a global vision. And that global vision is a world that works for everyone. I know you've heard me say that before. Are you interested in a world that works for everyone?
Yes.
And I was thinking, as I was thinking about that, is are you also interested in a life that works for you?
Yes. Yes.
Because yes, we want to take care of the world, but we also want to take care of us. And that's the beauty of what we teach here. We have practices, tools, and techniques, meditations, classes that support us in how to evolve consciously. So power expressed in many different ways, it can be healthy, but if we have an issue with the word power, which I talked about last week, we have to use the F word. Forgiveness.
Of course.
Yeah, we know that. And heal that relationship we might have with power. Because power is really not a bad word. And remember last week or 2 weeks ago I talked about the ABCs. Students of Truth, what does the ABC stand for?
Awareness builds consciousness.
You did it.
Wow.
Awareness builds consciousness.
Man.
So we have to be aware. And I also talked about, from Deepak Chopra's book, Superbrain, aware is good, but self-aware is even better.
Yeah.
There's just that little extra step. So Ernest Holmes is the founder of the religious science of mind, and he says, our mental attitudes are our most priceless possessions. Think about that.
Yes, that's true.
The deep issues of our thought can make us or unmake us. That which seemingly opposes us in the world can be overcome and dissolved by right thinking, if our motives are right. The universe is our field of opportunity. It is the great laboratory in which those who know the power of the mind can work miracles. We can have and become whatever we desire, providing we establish great ideas with our consciousness. The intelligence that created us requires our cooperation with the laws of right thinking based on right motives. We have to cooperate. Actually, that's a good thing. Because you are an expression of God's intelligence. Think about that. I am an expression of God's intelligence. Ooh, that makes me stand up straight. So I'd like you to say, I am an expression of God's intelligence.
I am an expression of God's intelligence.
Hear that. Say it again.
I am an expression of God's intelligence.
Or use a different word than God if that doesn't light you up. I am an expression of the divine's intelligence. I am an expression of the infinite wisdom, life's intelligence, the universal intelligence. It doesn't matter. You each are an expression, a unique expression. Ernest Holmes said in his famous sermon by the sea, he calls us to be for something and against nothing. Boy, this time,
Yeah.
in November, for something and against nothing. Ooh, that's a little challenging, maybe. But stand allows us to stand strongly for principle, that we are clear, kind, and unmoved, regardless of what the world around us looks like or says. Wow. That's our spiritual practice, isn't it? To stay rooted and grounded. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all creation. So we can ask ourselves, what does a world that works for everyone look and feel like to me? And one aspect of that vision, because it is a vision, is mine to do. How can I show up? How can I show up to support that vision? As I stand in my authentic power, I welcome a world that works for everyone. I invite you to repeat after me. As I stand in my authentic power,
As I stand in my authentic power,
I welcome a world that works for everyone.
I welcome a world that works for everyone.
And if you don't, that's okay too. That's your choice. And we just had the opportunity, as we mentioned here at Foothill, to vision and strategize and think about, plant new seeds about what we can do better here. How to grow. That was the big thing. We want growth. Consciously, people-wise, whatever. Everything is about growth. So what seeds are you planting to help us grow this center? And Reverend Barbara's going to share about that in a few minutes. Have you ever heard of Socrates?
Yes. What did you say? Ask what?
Not whatever. This is what he said. The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new.
Right.
Being for something and against nothing. Same thing. And every single person, every single one of you can help bring this global vision to life. Every one of us can do something, because you make a difference. You all make a difference in how you show up. In your family, in your community, at the grocery store. How are you showing up? As I stand in my authentic power,
As I stand in my authentic power,
I welcome a world that works for everyone.
I welcome a world that works for everyone.
So I want to read a story about aspen trees. From Mark Nebo. I read from him a lot. This is from his book, More Together Than Alone. And I'd like to share this story because I think it really fits in with the idea of vision, connection, power. Above ground, aspens grow as individual trees, but below ground, they're enlivened by one interconnected set of roots. They are the most expansive growth of trees to share a common root system. This means they are one living organism and one living community at the same time. This is a powerful metaphor for how inextricably knit the life of the individual is with the life of the community. What happens to one tree happens to all aspens in the grove. How do they live as one and many at the same time? How do they communicate with each other? How do they sustain each other? As one living root system, the aspen grove treats each of its trees as a shoot or a limb called a rammet. When an individual tree dies, it's as if the grove loses a branch. The grove then rushes nutrients to the damaged area, the way immune cells rush to the site of an infection. The huge root system allows the rammets that are close to water to absorb and send that nourishment to the other connected trees. When we can accept that all humans share the same invisible root system, we too can rush nutrients to others who are suffering. aspens, a particular species that grow where avalanches, mudslides, and fires have occurred, is nature's example of relational resilience. The grove roots and regenerates most strongly after disasters. Are you getting this? It's powerful. The trees teach us, don't they? Nature teaches us. In Yellowstone National Park, a quaking aspen grove grew out of a 1988 wildfire. This is one of nature's gritty forms of resurrection. Likewise, when we can focus on the clearing made between us, rather than on the disaster that caused it, we can resurrect and flourish like the quaking aspen. This is aspen wisdom, and I think we need it. We need aspen sensitivity, aspen memory, and aspen compassion. We need to learn how to enliven that depth of connectedness whereby we can feel all of humanity while living our very small individual lives. The paradox is of the aspen tree, as the aspen tree waits. I feel certain, he said, that in the paradox of the aspen trees waits the secret to our interdependence, being who we are and staying connected to everyone. Take a breath. We don't have to agree with everyone. We can still be who we are, but know that we have the same root system. To me, that eases the upset that's swirling around right now. Shared roots. I mean, think about that. So as we engage in the world, each of our actions, choices, and participation contribute to the grand tapestry of change. In a pursuit of a world that works for all, we acknowledge the significance of our interconnectedness, our shared roots. Whether you like it or not, we're all shared, we're all in this together. Remember the image of the bird? A bird has a left wing and a right wing, and you need both wings to fly.
That's right.
The left and the right. It's political. Without saying anything. So Ernest Holmes said, a steadfast determination to attain some purpose, the letting go of all that opposes it, is a complete reliance upon the law of good and an unqualified trust in spirit. This is the real power. Trust in spirit. And I say, creating a world that works for everyone requires conscious and intentional approach, more than passive observation. It starts with embodying what we stand for, aligning our choices with our values, and being a living example of the positive change we wish to see on the earth. Are you willing?
Yes.
The best we can. And finally, I'd like to close with the great Charlie Chaplin. This is attributed to him. The trouble is you won't fight. You've given in. Think of all the power that's in the universe, moving the earth and growing the trees. That's the same power within you, if you only have the courage and the will to use it. Use it. Are you using your power? How are you using it? Think about it, please, please, please. As I stand in my authentic power, I welcome the world that works for everyone. As I stand in my authentic